The Dakar Rally. Brought to you by Supersport. Sponsored by Total. You know where to turn.
Day 3 for the Dakar 2009. We leave the Atlantic. Next time, it's the Pacific. 2006 victor, Luc Alphonse. He's running into problems today. The French flyer, David Bretigny. Could this be his chance today? Quick look back at what happened here in Argentina yesterday. Stage 2, that was down towards Puerto Madryn. 17 competitors retired in the dust yesterday. But no problems though for Christophe de Klerk from France. He's leading on his Yamaha. Second place is Rafał Sonik from Poland on his Orlen Yamaha. We had some crashes, well, there were crashes all over. Charles Caron from France, he had a bit of an off. Thierry Magnaldi, always a Dakar regular, soldiered on in his buggy. The fans were out. We'll see more of them later in the programme. I don't think even the Dakar organisers appreciated how many people would be out there on the stages. But as always, teammates helping each other. It's a long way to go on the back of a piece of string. Some of the car back markers, when they got stuck, they were having some close calls with some trucks. Just look at that dust. Very, very difficult for the competitors. No problem though for Gerard de Roy. He flew through the stage yesterday. He was actually quick enough to be 30th fastest in the car category. And true spirit indeed, even the race director Etienne Lavigne, on behalf of the Dakar organisers, getting into the thick of it and helping people get through the bedlam. Now then, here is Tomáš Tomacek, the Czech Republic truck driver who has gone over. And Etienne saying, well, it might be a misery, but it's okay. His call, not ours. Etienne Smulovici, he got stuck with his buggy through the very narrow section. Now on the recce, the organisers cut through this sort of coppice wooded area, but I don't think even they appreciated how much kind of dust and fesh, which is the African name for such a powdery dust, would then appear once the bikes, the cars and then the trucks had gone through the stage. You have to say, if it wasn't for the sheer enthusiasm of the Argentine crowd, if this stage was in Africa without the crowd, then some of these guys would really just have no chance at all to try and get through, least of all if you've only got two-wheel drive such as that white buggy had. And with the trucks, one thing they've got to do, even more so than the cars, is keep their momentum up. They've got to keep going, they've got to keep driving, and even with six-wheel drive, these service trucks that are, of course, then looking after an example that we're seeing here, the Mitsubishi squad, if they stop, they're in trouble. Momentum is everything. You cannot stop at all costs. Now then, here is Gabriel Pozzo. He's the 2001 WRC Group N World Champion. He from Argentina, but elsewhere, other people again in trouble. Some people we saw coming out of the stage had lost 5 hours in this mess. Josep Roca from Andorra, he got going. Likewise, Thierry Uri, thanking his newly formed Argentine fan club for helping him out there on the stage with his KTM. Once he'd got going back onto the stage, his new fan club eagerly awaited to see that he would continue on his way. A little bit of a bobble, he nearly went off again. They thought they were going to be back in action, but he was away. stage 3, today's stage for the Argentina-Chile Dakar for 2009. We leave Puerto Madryn for a slightly shortened stage, 551 kilometres in length, before we end up at Jacobacci, the most southerly part of this year's rally. Now then, as the last part of the Atlantic Ocean is savoured by the wildlife, let alone the Dakar bivouac that stayed overnight after the second stage at Puerto Madryn, ironically a Welsh-founded city that's twinned with Wales, can you believe it? Now then, 201 bikes and 24 quads started today's stage, and there was drama in it all the way for those 551 kilometres. It was quick, boy it was quick, and that was really, I suppose, the undoing for the reigning champion Cyril Deprez on the #1 Red Bull KTM. Maybe he flew just a little bit too fast. He lost a massive amount of time, and for Deprez, he's had his third disaster in 3 days. Now what happened to the Frenchman is that the mousse, which is a soft rubbery device that's installed into the rear tyre, just in case there is a puncture and no positive pressure is left, it will keep the tyre inflated. But he says, I started with the mousse this morning, it got too hot. I want to change it, but it's not broken up inside the tyre enough for me to get it out. So for me, I think the Dakar is over. I've now gone and broken the bead of the tyre whilst trying to remove it. Incredible. A year of preparation and all this. Now Mark Comer here, he didn't start with a mousse inside the tyre, he started with an inner tube. He was okay. It's ironic actually that in this day and age of technology, it's ironically an inner tube that has been good to Comer and not good to Deprez. So Deprez had to continue with the mousse inside the rear tyre, but he was unable to do more than about 60 or 70 kilometres an hour because by now the rear wheel was completely out of balance. Frustration for Deprez on the longest stage of the event. Can you believe it? There is Ulavaceta steaming past. Deprez losing even more time. On the first day of the rally, he lost 41 minutes. Yesterday, he had a broken shock absorber, and today, disaster. But no problems though for Mark Comer. He flew from his starting position of 17th off the line this morning. Winner of the stage, 17 minutes ahead of the rest as we go down south in Argentina. 3 stages for Comer, running with the inner tube in the rear and not the mousse. And what Comer has done is that he has changed his riding style accordingly to suit the conditions, whilst others have really fallen around him. Comer now continues to lead the Dakar. He's 39 minutes ahead of the rest of the field. Impressive. Ulavaceta, the man from Norway, 3rd on the stage today, and he is now 4th in the overall standings. The privateer on the all-green bike, Scandinavian-based team, always the underdogs, but always going to be strong. He could be top 3 come the end of the rally. 4th at the moment. Jordi Viadoms, he said that the stages were a little bit easier than expected today, but he was always behind Mark Comer in the shadow of his fellow Spaniard, and therefore he made it 2nd on the stage, so it was a Spanish 1-2 for the Repsol KTM. Frenchman David Castello, he was 4th after his dramas on the first day. He's now 1 hour and 27 minutes back, but he still could be top 10 come the end of the rally. 5th on the stage today, another Spaniard, Perez, whilst the local alpacas, well, they ran away rather than became part of the spectators. Frenchman Marchini actually was the quickest 450 today. He beat David Bretignier on the stage by 42 seconds. He had a good run. Also, Jonas Street had a good run. Another superb day, 8th position, battling on even though he had a massive thorn in his arm just after 100 kilometres. Bretignier backing up Marchini's good 450 time. It was quite technical. That maybe didn't suit some of the quads, but still we have de Klerk leading on 4 wheels with the single-cylinder engine. Mark Comer victorious today. Spanish 1-2 with Villadoms backing him up. Oliver Seta, Castello and Perez in 5th position. Overall, Mark Comer's lead, look at that, 39 minutes ahead of Bretignier, who's up to 2nd, Oliver Seta, Chacor and Jonas Street. Comer saying after my problems yesterday I was a little worried. There were many riders in front of me and with the dust I was worried even more. But everything went well. I could ride at my own rhythm without problems. That was the most important thing during this 550-kilometre stage. At the same time, it was fast and it was technical, so it was a complete stage.
The first 200 kilometers I go pretty slow in the fast session because I want to save my tires, but when I got to the first refueling I understand I was far behind, so after the first refueling I start give gas and I think I catch many riders in the end. I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall see. But the wind was a little bit tricky because some places was long jumps and when the wind takes you it's dangerous. Huh?
Castello saying in comparison to yesterday, today was nothing. Yesterday, I could not see my own nose because my face swelled up after an insect bite. It was huge. And I thought that I would give up the Dakar because of this bite. I rode with one eye. I'm not looking good at all. My kids would think that their daddy's not looking too good.
d'un œil et l'autre, j'essayais de forcer, mais ça m'a épuisé de forcer, tu sais, à
I tried to push as much as I could today.
Je suis pas beau, hein. Les enfants ils vont me trouver, je me vois dans la caméra, je suis vraiment pas beau.
One thing that the organisers knew was that this Dakar was going to be huge. Quite how so huge a hit it would be with the spectators, well, I don't think even they quite comprehended how big it was going to be. Absolutely massive. It's these guys saying we got here very early this morning at 5 o'clock, but we woke up early to see the cars. This guy's saying here we slept in the field, but we didn't sleep. We danced, we sang, we drank, we made a party. Brilliant fun. They all came to see the biggest motorsport event on earth. There's a lot of enthusiasm here. The people are fans. After football, motorsports is the second most popular sport in Argentina. Massive crowds all along the route. Can you imagine if Maradona was driving? This guy's saying, whatever the conditions, we stay here. The dust, the wind, they're nothing. The Dakar for us is something that we only see once a year. It's so unique. Now this is Christian Califano, one of the French rugby team members. He says it's fantastic. All these people here helped me. They saw me arriving completely exhausted. They took my bike and gave me some water. This Dakar is fabulous though, the people are extraordinary. People help us. Now one of my Argentine rugby colleagues said to me that the people here were extraordinary, and he was not wrong. The Dakar is beautiful. It's not over for me yet, I've got to fight, but after his accident with his tongue yesterday, he's going to fight through. Nobody could be tougher than a man who plays rugby on an international scale in the Six Nations. At the start this morning for the cars, 170 cars lined up. People were limbering up in more ways than one. Nanny Roma doing some stretching, Orlando Terranova giving him some support, Gerlan Shishirit playing it cool. Shishirit got a lot of time to make up after losing 7 hours on the opening day. Stefan Orad cleaning his windscreen, whilst Janil de Villiers, the man from South Africa, thinking about the stage ahead. On board with de Villiers.
200 meters, fog left. 400 meters uphill, left, right, over crossroad. Meters from behind.
De Villiers, the man from Stellenbosch, 40 k's from Cape Town. Look at the concentration on his face. He could win this event one day, and today he's had a good crack at it. He was 4th on the stage today. He is now 3rd overall, 5 minutes and 45 seconds back of the overall leader. Here is his teammate, Dieter Depping, 3rd on the stage, under 2 minutes off the victor of today's 551 kilometers down south in Argentina. Carlos Sainz, victorious on the stage yesterday, but he was 2nd today, half a minute off the win. Sainz now holds his overall lead, even though it has been reduced just a little. It's very tight for the top 3 here on the Dakar after 3 stages. 5 minutes and 45 seconds covering them after 9 hours of rallying. It's close. But the man who was victorious on the stage today was the man who was victorious on stage 1. The man from Qatar, Nasser Al-Attiyah, the winner ahead of Sainz today. Now Al-Attiyah has got a bit more speed with that BMW X3. They're up to about 193 kilometers an hour when flat out in 5th gear. They've changed the final ratios, and Al-Attiyah, it's his 2nd stage win in 3 stages. Al-Attiyah 2nd overall. But what about the Mitsubishis? Peder Hansel, he was really last of Division 1 today. The reigning champion was 5th on the stage. He is 4th overall, giving away 9 minutes to Carlos Sainz, who leads. Here is Mark Miller, the American, 6th today, the 3rd Volkswagen inside the top 6. But Mark Miller is 6th in the overall standings, doing a good, solid job. Here is Terranova, 7th on the stage today, 7th overall, even though he was lucky to get away without breaking himself through that quick right-hander. Only 2 Mitsubishis have not had problems in this year's rally. Mashioka out after the 1st stage, and now it was Luc Alphon's teammate to Mashioka who's had the problems today. He lost 30 minutes. He stopped at 124 kilometres, although he got back going again. Here is Robbie Gordon. He was kicking himself for not going as quickly as he might have done in the first 2 stages, but today he's 9th overall. Well, we may have had a look at the top runners in the works cars, the Volkswagens, the Mitsubishis and the BMWs, but what about some of the privateers a little bit further back? Here is Christian Lavelle in one of the hybrid Nissans run by the Dessoud squad. Lavelle, always a Dakar favourite, and likewise Dakar A friendly rally normally to Carlo de Gavado, the Chilean ex-KTM rider. He's on four wheels for the first time in the Dakar, and his co-driver is Jean Brucy, another former KTM Works rider, although they've had some problems. He got going again, and he's still in the rally. Laszlo Palik, he's in his Nissan, he's soldiering on and doing well. Strong cars, Nissans, formerly Works entries, with the likes of de Villiers and the late Colin McRae, formerly driving. Now here's Stefan Orard, the Belgian, very good engineer, but maybe he's out-engineered himself with his two-wheel drive buggy. He's maybe made it a little bit too light, and he's had a problem with the upright that has broken, and they've had to repair really what was a two-wheel drive favourite. Orad saying we started with a new car on this Dakar. We wanted it much lighter than the one before. We made the uprights lighter, but maybe too light. We didn't manage to go very far today before it broke over this bumpy surface, so I suppose now we've got to reinforce it. They've got to wait for the truck. De Roy speeds past, but it'll be a while before Orad's truck arrives. Now then, what about Ivan Muller, the reigning world touring car champion, won the championship with Seat, and the 10-time Trophy Andros winner. He actually fractured his foot before the rally, and he says rude things about the truck that has just passed him. I cannot translate, I promise you. He says, is the Pampas area not big enough for you? And then he apologises for what he says. Well, what a gentleman, as always. Remember that Muller driving on his own, so he's got to navigate and drive all in one. Back with de Villiers, finishing the stage. 551 kilometres, completed safely. Results of today's stage: Alatia victorious for the second time of three stages, Sainz, Depping, de Villiers and Peter Hansel the leading Mitsubishi. But overall, it's Sainz from Alatia who has closed in on Sainz, de Villiers, Peter Hansel and Nani Roma.
We catch four cars, but last 50 kilometers there is one bike immediately he jumped in front of us, and we hit some rocks and we changed the tires. Yeah, I think it's cost like 2 minutes, but really it was very, very good run, you know, all the way, all the 550, no problems except the puncture. But what we can do is good. We are here, and the car is working very well.
Was very good. The car ran very well, no problem. And in the middle on the stage was very twisty, so it was for me very good because I like this. The other one part was very fast, so all over the day was completely, for me, it was okay.
It's true that it was very fast and we lost time all through the stage. After a while we didn't see any dust, and that meant that we didn't have a hair in front of us to follow. The stage was quick, we lost time, but I hope that it'll get more technical in the next few stages and we'll try and get some time back.
Des étapes très rapides. J'espère qu'on va trouver des choses plus techniques, plus de franchissement, un peu plus dur, et peut-être qu'on va pouvoir refaire notre différence. On a eu une fuite de gasoil, et voilà.
We lost some diesel and we had to remove the whole fuel tank to repair it, and we lost about 30 minutes.
Une demi-heure à bricoler. C'est comme ça.
How do you feel? Well, here it is not so much of a disaster. We've only lost half an hour. We have already lost my teammate Mashiboka. That's the worst thing. But for a chance of victory, it might be difficult now. 80 trucks started today's stage. Gerard de Roy, the youngster, a former Dakar winner. He's doing it all alone this year. His father not coming on this year's event, but Gerard Well, he may have been young when he started, but he's already got an enormous amount of experience. He's continuing to lead. He was 30th quickest yesterday, such was his pace. Next up, the De Azevedo. After the Kamaz doing well with Mardiv. The Brazilian having a lot of support down here, a few Brazilian spectators actually coming down on bikes to support De Azevedo in the truck, and there is a De Azevedo on 2 wheels as well. Trucks may thunder through. They've got an enormous amount of horsepower. Don't be fooled by what's in the back of those trucks. That is just a box. It is full of a couple of tyres, a great big tank of diesel and a toolbox. The trucks already on their way down south to Giacobacci. Stage 4 tomorrow from Giacobacci up to Neuquén. It's 459 kilometres of special stage as we go further north on the Dakar.